Okay, welcome back. Today we have something a little bit special for you. You're going to get some insight into our laser coaching sessions where Kate and I coach students personally. Now, of course, our CCA students always have access to our coaching calls twice a month, and then, of course, our fabulous Facebook group as well. But these are special calls where we really get to dig into their specific questions in that moment. They're only 10 minutes, but boy, do we pack a lot of coaching and information in there. The topics are going to run the gamut. So no matter what you are interested in as a copywriter, even though you're not in the hot seat, I guarantee that you're going to hear something useful and interesting. Also, just a heads up that in a couple of the recordings, students mention Pitchapalooza and Right Starts, which are a couple of our student-only events. They're free for our students, and as with everything we do, they're designed to get people taking action and seeing success. So when you hear that reference, just know that that's what they are. So without further ado, let's dig into our laser coaching sessions. Hello, Shelby.
Hi.
Hello. All right. What can we do for you? What can we help you with?
Okay. Well, first, I wanted to say thank you both for everything you've done. You made such a huge change in my life. I'm very grateful.
Thank you. You have made the change, but
yes.
Thank you for letting us be a part of it.
Well, you gave me the opportunity for the change was the thing. Well, thank you for that. I actually took notes here because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget something because it's kind of complicated. Okay, so turn this up. So I've been having some trouble with finding like the deep benefit or like the benefit, like the real benefit when anything that isn't like functional. Mm-hmm. Like we go over in the core, this makeup or whatever will make you feel nice. Or, and I asked this like when I first joined, like, especially with art, landscape, it brings your landscape into your home. Okay. But but it's not nearly all going to be like that. Cause like, I want to get into helping like with art, with, like creative writing, or like novels and stuff. Cause I do that some myself. And then like the entertainment kind of side of things. Yeah. And when it's not educational or like functional, I'm having trouble finding what the deep benefit is. Yeah. Especially because it's so subjective.
Absolutely. Well, and it is absolutely. And you can think of it in the microcosm, right? Like what does the entertainment brings joy into your life? It can bring fulfillment into your life. It can open your mind to possibilities. But remember too, that you're not going to be writing for art as a whole, right? Art is not going to be your client. You'll be writing for, say, an individual, maybe an individual author. Maybe you'll write the back cover copy of their book or the inside flap copy of their book, in which case you'll have the ability to dive into what makes that particular story exciting or appealing or enticing or insightful. Does that make sense? It can be a little confusing to think about like, what is the deep benefit of something big? Because it's going to be for each individual project. So, if you're describing a piece of artwork, let's say you're working with a writer, with a painter, and they want you to describe their artwork for the website and make it sound compelling. You're going to be writing about that particular piece of artwork. And so then you can lean into that particular, like you said, maybe it's a landscape and it brings a sense of calm and it brings a sense of peace, or it inspires them to think differently about the world around them. So it's true that with some things, it's a little bit less concrete, like this artwork did not, made me lose 10 pounds, something like that. But there's still a benefit to these. There's still the softer benefits are still important. And when it comes to art, often it will be those softer benefits, but that's still, especially for people who appreciate art, those softer benefits can matter just as much, right?
Depending on your project, really digging into who the audience is, I think is going to be essential. Who is this artist's target audience? Because I think depending on the artwork, you're going to have very different, is it more commercial? Is it more high-end collectors? Is it, who is purchasing this and what is that? What are those people like? What are their wants and needs? What's typical about the audience? And I think that's going to be really helpful to talk with your client, obviously, to say, hey, who are your customers? And then really go from there. And if they have a tone guide, great. If not, I think digging into that as well, of like, what are the kind of words that these people use? What are emotions connect with them? What, just really figuring out how you can best connect with that specific audience.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. Yeah.
I mean, you're going to do that for every project. Yes. But I think particularly with these projects, to really know the differences too. If you're working with multiple different artists, to say, okay, this one, this is their target audience versus this one is slightly different. I'm thinking of a woman that used to, before I moved, sold a lot of functional art pieces. So like burp cloths with her art on it for moms. And so obviously that is a tangible product, but what is the benefit of having original art on a piece like that, versus something that is meant to be hung in a living room or something like that, versus something that is, museum quality, someone just collecting for their own personal, $50,000, $60,000 piece of art or whatever it is. I think all of those, just to kind of give a spread of, I think, the different types of audiences. I don't know if that's helpful, but.
Mm-hmm. So the purpose of art generally is kind of like they want to brighten up a room. You want to change the vibe in the room. But like beyond that, I'm having some trouble grasping. The room looks warmer or whatever, and that makes me feel, is that what I'm going for?
Sure. But also, am I on the right track? Sure. But the purpose of art isn't always, isn't always for just the way it looks on a wall. Right. Like I love artwork and I will buy it, buy an original piece for how it makes me feel. Yeah. So it's not just, it makes me feel inspired. It broadens my view of the world. It intrigues me. It makes me feel, it encourages my creativity. Art is not just about, art is about an interaction between people and the artwork, not just how it looks in a room, right? Yeah, art is a very complicated subject. Yeah.
And it's very subjective to the individual purchasing it potentially. So I'm thinking of pieces I've bought, and to Nikki's point, everything she said, but I bought a watercolor, and it's of a mime facing a cowboy, and they're kind of dressed very similarly, doing a similar pose. And I did it because every time I look at it, it makes me giggle and I laugh. Yeah. And then I have an oil painting of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in my kitchen because I just thought, like, what a cool, I love peanut butter and jelly. It brings me joy. It's an oil painting. So it's like this highbrow, lowbrow mix, right, of a peanut butter and jelly, but an elevated oil painting. And I just thought that's so much fun. And so I feel like that's very different too. Is it bringing humor? Is it sparking that joy every time you look at it, that it lights you up and just kind of reminds you of the simple pleasures in life? Yeah. I think and it depends on the project too, right? If you're writing an email about a specific art piece that's going out to, an email list, maybe it's a gallery sending about, hey, we got this new artwork from this artist. Whatever you write about that might be very different than, if it's so you mentioned landscape earlier. Landscape is going to be very different than talking about a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, because the person who's buying the peanut butter and jelly might not be the person who's buying the landscape. Could be. I love a landscape too, but just what someone might be getting out of it is different based on the medium, the actual art piece, the audience, et cetera, et cetera. So I take it on a case by case basis versus necessarily trying to, figure out a benefit on art as a whole. Yeah.
What might be fun for you, or at least a good exercise, is to go to a gallery website and pick an artist and say, okay, if I had to write an email saying that this artist has an upcoming exhibit, what would I say about this artist and what would I say about their artwork? And research the gallery, see if you can find out what kinds of people go to this gallery or something like that. But give yourself the opportunity to practice. How would you describe this artist and their work? How would you entice people to come and experience this artwork in the gallery? That could be a really great exercise.
And what I would add to that, just to challenge you, is to pick 2 different galleries and 2 very, very different artists, because I think that'll help you distinguish between what am I writing about this one versus what am I writing about the other one. I was actually out to dinner with a friend last night who's like, oh, I don't like wine. Let me taste this red wine. Oh, it tastes like wine. And I was like, well, if you had this grape variety next to a very different red wine grape variety, they would taste completely different. And you'd be like, oh, this one is this and this one is this. So I think that might help you doing this exercise with 2 very different, to be like, oh, this voice versus this voice, or this benefit versus this benefit. Could be interesting. Yeah. And then post it in the group.
Yeah. Does that help a bit?
Yeah. It's interesting. It sounds kind of complicated, but also like, I feel like I know the next steps. So
practice. Everything comes with practice, right? And share it in the group. It's a very supportive group. So say, I'm imagining, this was the project I imagined for myself. This is how I put it together. What do you guys think? How would you, what feedback do you have to offer? Because getting that will only improve and make it only improve your skills, and also make it easier for you with that practice. Yeah.
Yeah. And with love, I think once you do it, you will realize it's less complicated once you do it. And that we're so good at this. You're probably overcomplicating it a little bit in your own mind, which again, we're all good at doing that. So just try that exercise and see what happens.
Yeah. And my brain's got the thing. I have to have all of the pieces first before I can start.
So great. Get all the pieces first. Make yourself a test project, and then you have all the pieces, right? Because you can't possibly, you can't write copy until you have all the pieces. And that's probably what's getting in your way, is you can't write copy about things that you don't know what they are yet. So give yourself a chance to practice. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Excellent.
All right. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Be sure to share it in a group when you do it.
Yeah, I will.
Awesome. Like what you heard? Hit subscribe so you never miss a video. And if you're ready to take the first step toward becoming a copywriter yourself, sign up for a free video training right here.